Get ready for some serious scheming and side eyes, because today we're diving headfirst into A Feast for Crows.
Oh, this one. This is where Martin really starts playing mind games with us, right?
Absolutely, this is Martin at his best, but whoa boy, hold on to your seats because he throws us right into the thick of it after the events of A Storm of Swords.
Yeah, it's like picking up the pieces of a shattered vase, each shard reflecting a different angle of this world.
Okay, love that analogy, Shattered Base. So we're not following one linear story here. Instead, we're getting these snapshots from across Westeros. What's the deal with that?
Well, it lets Martin really drill down on the fallout of everything that happened, you
Yeah,
know.
it's got a million different points of view.
Precisely. And some of these viewpoints are tied to some seriously heavy stuff like those creepy glass candles at the Citadel in Old Town. Those things still freak me out.
Ugh, don't even get me started on those things. We have poor Pate, this young acolyte who stumbles onto secrets even the Meisters are afraid of. Then there's Archmaester Marwyn. He's got a glass candle just casually burning in his room. I mean, what's up with that?
It's like Martin's hinting at a power shift. The Citadel, right. It's always
Uh,
been about logic, reason.
right, magic is a big no-no.
But here's Marwyn messing around with forces they can barely understand. It's like he's trying to split the atom in a world still using oil lamps, you know?
Okay, now that is a terrifying thought. And speaking of journeys, we have Samwell Tarly finally reaching the Citadel after his own, shall we say, interesting trip.
Oh, Sam. He goes from the Wall, which is basically the edge of nowhere, to Old Town, this bustling port city with ships from all over the world. It really drives home how vast and interconnected Westeros is.
Even if it is falling apart at the seams.
And you know, for all its supposed dedication to knowledge and learning, Old Town has its fair share of secrets, too.
You're telling me, even Sam encounters his own share of shady dealings. It's like nowhere is safe in this world.
Nowhere and no one. Which brings us to King's Landing. If Old Town is simmering with secrets, King's Landing is a full-blown dumpster fire.
Oh yeah, Cersei's calling the shots now. Queen Regent, but let's be real.
She is not handling it well.
Not even a little bit. Paranoia, vengeance, especially when it comes to the Tyrells. What's her deal?
Look, you can call it paranoia all you want, but Cersei's playing a high-stakes game here.
A game she could lose her head in.
The Tyrells are a serious threat. Wealth, influence, and now with Tommen on the throne, a direct claim. She's desperate to protect her children, her legacy.
So it's not just power, it's survival.
Exactly, which is why she turns to Qyburn.
Qyburn, that guy gives me the creeps.
He's the definition of a wild card. The Citadel kicked him out for a reason.
Too dangerous, too ambitious.
Cersei doesn't care. She needs someone who isn't afraid to operate outside the lines to get things done no matter how messy it gets.
And let's not forget the Sparrows.
Oh, yeah. Them talk about a curveball. They emerge from the chaos, exploiting the unrest and poverty in King's Landing.
And Cersei, in typical Cersei fashion, completely underestimates them. She thinks she can use them, but
Big mistake. Faith, especially when it's coming from people who feel they've got nothing left to lose. That's a dangerous weapon. You know, it's interesting how Cersei isn't the only woman in this story trying to grab the reins, you know?
oh, for sure. We've got Arianne down in Dorne, still reeling from her father's death, and she is ready to burn King's Landing to the ground.
Talk about a chip on her shoulder, huh? But you can't deny that fire. She's got that Martell spirit, that fierce independence.
And yet her plan to avenge Oberyn blows up in her face.
It just goes to show even the best laid plans, especially in Dorne, rarely go smoothly.
What is it about Dorne? They've always played by their own rules.
They're the rebels of Westeros, always chafing against the Iron Throne, and Arianne, she's a product of that environment. But
Yeah.
it's like she's stuck in this weird in-between. Cersei's up there playing the game with brute force, manipulation.
And Arianne, she's trying to use tradition, her birthright, as a Martell princess to get what she wants.
And neither of them really succeeds, do they?
It's heartbreaking, really.
Yeah.
Both of them are trapped by the very systems they're trying to manipulate. Speaking of being trapped, let's talk about Brienne. She's still out there, searching for Sansa, trying to fulfill her oath to Catelyn.
Brienne is a fascinating character, isn't she? She's driven by honor, by duty in this world where those qualities are about as useful as a screen door on a submarine.
She's constantly underestimated, judged for how she looks, for being a woman in this patriarchal society, but she never gives up. She just keeps going.
And her journey takes her through some of the darkest corners of Westeros, you know? She sees the aftermath of war, the atrocities committed in the name of kings and queens.
That scene in Salt Pans, it's gut-wrenching. It's a stark reminder that in Martin's world, there are no heroes and villains,
Only survivors.
and those who don't survive. Which brings us to Arya. She's gone from playing swords in Winterfell to training with assassins in Bravos.
Talk about a glow down.
I mean, can you imagine the trauma, the loss she's endured? And now she's supposed to become this emotionless killer.
But that's what I find so compelling about her arc, you know? She's forced to confront her pain, her anger, to bury it deep down and become someone else entirely.
Do you think she really leaves Arya Stark behind in Bravos?
Mm-hmm.
Or is she just hiding behind all those masks?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And then there's Caitlyn. Or should we say Lady Stoneheart? That's a transformation I still haven't wrapped my head around.
From loving mother to this
Yeah.
vengeful spirit. Talk about a 180.
It's like Martin showing us the dark side of grief, you know? How loss can twist even the purest heart into something unrecognizable.
So much for rest in peace, right?
It makes you wonder if there is such a thing as true closure in this world. Or are we always haunted by the ghosts of our past?
And is there even room for justice in a place like Westeros?
Yeah.
Seems like everyone is just out for themselves. It's almost like everyone's drowning and they're just pulling each other under, trying to stay afloat. You know?
Yeah, it kind of feels that way sometimes. And it's not just the political stuff either, right? Like, there's this whole other layer with magic. It's like Martin's cranking up the volume on the supernatural.
Oh, totally. We've got the whole glass candle mystery, and then you've got those rumors of dragons across the narrow sea. It's like something ancient is waking up.
Right. And I think that's what makes this book so unsettling. It's not just about wars and betrayals anymore. There's this sense that the rules of the game are changing.
And nobody knows what the new rules are.
Exactly. Take the glass candles, for example. They represent knowledge, right? But knowledge can be a dangerous thing. It can be used for good or evil.
It's like that saying, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing.
Exactly. And I think we see that playing out with Cersei, you know. She thinks she can control these forces. She doesn't understand. She thinks she can use the sparrows.
Which never ends well.
Never. And then you've got Jon Snow up at the wall. He's facing a whole different kind of threat.
Talk about a no-win situation.
Yeah.
Wildlings on one side, White Walkers on the other.
He's walking a tightrope, and the wind is picking up. But here's the thing. I think Jon understands something that a lot of the other characters don't.
What's that?
The world is bigger than their petty power struggles. There are forces at work here that make the Iron Throne look like a child's toy.
And those forces are rooted in magic.
I think so. And I think Martin is just getting started. This whole book feels like a prelude to something much bigger, something terrifying.
So where does that leave us? A feast for crows. It's dense, it's sprawling, it's full of twists and turns. What are we supposed to take away from all of this?
I think Martin is challenging us. He's asking us to look beyond the surface, to question everything we think we know about this world and about ourselves.
Because, let's be real, this book isn't just about medieval fantasy. It's about us.
Exactly. It's about power, ambition, the choices we make, and the consequences that ripple outwards. It's about what it means to be human in a world that's often cruel and unforgiving.
It's a wild ride, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, listeners, we've reached the end of our deep dive into A Feast for Crows. We hope you enjoyed exploring this world of political intrigue, ancient magic, and unforgettable characters. Until next time, keep those glass candles burning and those minds open.